Welcome back from the break, back to today's Perspective quarterfinal episode. So we are now in phase 2 of today's show, and that is the actual debating round. And I briefly spoke about it before the break, but I'll have a quick recap on what phase 2 is. Basically what's going to happen is I'm going to ask one of the teams to give an opening / starting argument, and I'm going to see how the other team can respond, and we're going to go back and forth in debate until I call an end to that string of debate, and then I'm going to ask the other team to then come with their starting argument. So I'm sure you guys already heard what the judges want to see, and they said that before the break. So now, without further ado, let's enter the second round of today's program. I'm going to ask EYC Group 2 if you guys could give us your first starting / opening argument, please.
Okay, so almost 80% of pupils in England who do not achieve a C grade in GCSEs, maths or English fail to attain these marks during their resets. People are stuck in this cycle of doing resets, and this shows how important it is to carry on doing English and maths, as it helps you in later life.
Okay, so that is the opening statement. Subjects like English and maths prove to be key in the foundation of later life and can effectively stop someone from entering a cycle of resets. Would you guys have a response to that? Okay, Rafa?
Well, but life skills will also help develop students acquire knowledge of the outside world as opposed to what they learn in normal subjects as well.
Okay, so a bit off topic there, but I'll come back to you guys with it. So if you only study subjects within the curriculum like maths, English and science, you don't truly get your own sort of knowledge about the outside world and the struggles of the outside world. So what would your response to that be? How can maths, English, science, geography, history, how can they help students experience the true challenges that they may face in later life?
So like you guys are talking about cleaning, right? So
can you hold the mic close to you?
As we were younger, like reception, even nursery, we all learnt about tidy up time, and so this shows how we don't really need to learn about it when we're older because we already know what it is from such a young age.
Okay, so these sort of things are implemented into the daily life of school. They don't need to have their own separate lessons in order for them to be taught. So can flexible ideology respond to that?
We're not asking for extra lessons to add in to learn about these skills, but we're asking if in PSHE if we can have in-depth lessons. Like, do you guys know how to pay a mortgage?
Okay, so maybe whatever is being offered in school isn't truly covering everything, and maybe in some cases it isn't even useful.
Well, like as you grow up here, in your PSHE lessons, like certain things will go in depth. That's like necessary to like you growing up. So if you want to learn more things, you could generally just ask a teacher like to put this thing in like the curriculum, and you will then learn it.
Okay, so you don't always have to take what you learn in lessons. You can go outside of lesson, ask your teachers, maybe ask people outside of the school if you need any advice on a certain topic or a certain challenge.
But also, like, some schools don't even do PSHE, so if you were to ask a teacher, like my school for example, they don't have separate lessons for it. They do it like 3 times every year, like a whole day, but it needs to be in more depth. So like you could just ask a teacher, but like I don't know, it needs to be in more depth.
Okay, so we need to have more of these lessons on life skills in depth, as opposed to, you know, just having them in random lessons which the teacher themselves isn't really giving much attention. I think I'll call an end to that string of debate there. Okay, so now I'm going to come to flexible ideology, and I'm going to ask if you guys can give one of your starting arguments, please, and I want to see how EYC Group 2 can respond. So flexible ideology, can you guys give an argument, please? Inaya, perhaps?
Research is
in a survey show that 55% of 18-year-olds said that when they leave home after the first time and have to start paying bills, moving into houses and paying mortgages, they don't know a thing about it.
Okay, so would you guys like to respond to that, Rahel?
Yeah, but life skills can be joined together with living skills, so you can ask your parents or siblings on how to pay your mortgage and how to pay your bills and things.
Okay, so there are always alternate ways to learn these sort of life skills other than having to be taught it directly in school. Do you have a response for that?
Like we said in our speeches, some people aren't as fortunate to ask their parents because maybe they're uneducated or maybe they just don't have that strong of a bond with their parents, so they can't always ask their parents.
Okay, so you can't always ask your parents?
Well, like, it's not just your parents that you can go to. Like, if you're like if you're like a teenager, like there's youth clubs available. Like after school, there should be lots of clubs you can go to. Like in your school, there should be assemblies like which tell you like different places you can go to for help if you like haven't got like a fortunate home.
Okay, so there are youth clubs and youth centres outside of school which are tailored to provide teenagers and people who are growing up with the necessary support that they need for later life. Would you guys like to respond to that? Can see some in-depth discussion taking place. Okay, flexible ideology, I'm going to have to ask you guys to respond now.
Well, when we're talking about life skills, communication comes into that, and if they don't have good communication, how would they be able to talk to, like when they go to youth clubs, how would they be able to have good communication when they're talking to other people about what they need help on?
Okay, so communication is something that comes under life skills, and that should be taught in schools. Maybe some people they're not as trained as others in terms of communicating their problems. They might be too scared to go out and ask someone, or so that's why maybe a youth club isn't always a perfect way out. They might feel uncomfortable asking someone they don't really know to give support.
Well, like if communication is a problem for you, like usually at young ages, like let's say in maths class or history class, you should be doing like lots of like group work. So then when you're doing group work, you have to obviously do group discussions, and like after you got used to the people you're talking to, you should be more confident with yourself.
Okay, so these certain life skills are already implemented, cooked into lessons like maths, history and science, in which you have group work, and that gives you a chance to develop your communication skills and social skills. So would you guys have a response for that? Okay, Jaren.
When we say about communication, we also talk about stuff like self-confidence and talking to other people about your problems, which some people may not be able to do. Simple things and stuff, making like eye contact.
Okay, thank you very much, Jaren. I'm going to call an end to that string of debate. So now I'm going to come back again to EYC Group 2. Can I ask you guys to give another opening argument, and we're going to see how flexible ideology can respond.
So there's something called EVAC, which is
Can you hold the mic close to you? Sorry.
English, Math, Science, Languages and Humanities. So obviously we have geography and history, and that's a main part of our lives, knowing where countries are, like travelling anywhere and knowing the history of the world, and that's a big thing in our world right now.
Okay, so general knowledge of the world around us doesn't necessarily have to come from life skills. Subjects like history and geography can give students an insight into locations of the world, the history of the world, and maybe something like a curriculum for life simply can't cater for that sort of information.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but lately in most geography lessons they also learn about stuff like rocks and different types of rocks, and I don't think you need to know that in life.
Okay, rocks don't play an important role in your life. I think you need to learn about them.
Well, they do also learn about like waves and cliffs and stuff. So, but you do need to know the importance of, if you live near a cliff, then there are problems about cliffs falling down because of waves. So.
Okay, I feel like we're having a geography lesson. But okay, so although I think what maybe Rahel was trying to say, that although maybe some aspects of what you're being taught may not necessarily provide a link with you, they do generally give you knowledge which may prove to be helpful in some way in your life. So can I ask you guys please to respond?
We're not technically saying that we should get rid of like geography altogether. We're saying we should develop like the lessons longer for PSHE and food tech, those things that will help you. So we're not saying completely get rid of it, because then obviously we won't know anything.
Okay.
Well, like I don't think developing like the lessons like is the only way you can learn about certain things in your life. Like as we said before, there are youth clubs and there are like obviously there's technology now. It's 2017. Like you can search up a lot of things. Like you can like kind of self-teach us, like self-taught. Yeah, you can be self-taught. Things like that.
Okay, technology and social media can provide teenagers into an insight on certain things that may be causing them struggle. I'm going to call an end to that string of debate, and probably going to have our last string of debate now. So I'm going to come back to flexible ideology, and can I ask you guys to give one more opening statement / argument, please? Okay, so you can see flexible ideology discussing the point that they'd like to give. I think Inaya is going to give it now.
When students go to uni, they get a loan and they might live like inside the campus, and they have to look after themselves, like cooking or paying bills, and they need to know how to budget to be able to deal with the money, and they need to also know about how to live their life well. And it may they may have a lot of pressure. They might have a lot of pressure building towards them since they don't know how to do it, and it could lead them into like serious issues like being stressed, depressed, or going towards suicide.
Okay, so although studying such subjects like maths and English may get you the grades to get into uni, actually living the uni life, the student life, is a completely different topic, and that's why it's necessary that you have such lessons so that people don't get pushed on to things such as suicide. How do you respond to that?
So you included the budget of what you were just saying, and so to know about budget you're going to have to know about mathematics, and that will help you along, and yeah, that's the key bit.
Okay, so certain subjects already cover certain aspects of life. So I'm just going to get just the last response from flexible ideology, and then I think we can move on. So would you guys, can I ask flexible ideology please to respond? If you don't have a response, it's fine. If you don't have a response, it's fine, we can move on.
So yeah, in maths they teach you about budgeting, and well, not all the time in maths. Sometimes they teach you like use of things like equations that we're not going to use in real life. But you also need to know how to look after yourself as a person, and they teach you that in school. If they were to develop it, it would really help.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'm going to call an end to phase 2 here. We've heard some very interesting arguments coming from both sides. We've heard about the importance of rocks, we've heard about waves and cliffs. So we've heard quite a bit, and I think the judges would be impressed going in to this break. So after the break, we're going to head over into the third and final round, which is the judges round. The judges are going to ask the contestants questions, then we're going to have the results announced. But before that, we're going to have a very quick break.